Hey, what's up y'all? It's your boy Iceman and Bob. In this video, we are going to take a look at the footage from the 2023 Value Electronics TV Shootout. This particular footage though was not involved in the official shootout. This was a last minute comparison that we decided to offer you all. So you will see on your left the 85-inch Hisense UX, and on your right you are looking at the Sony X95L, also in 85 inches. Neither of these TVs were calibrated. They were literally taken out of the box. If you look at the Sony X95L on your right, you can actually still see the stickers on the right side of the TV. So we wanted to let you all know that this wasn't a professional comparison. This was one of the first comparisons though that you will see this side of the year. Both TVs are excellent. What we did was we set both of them as close as we could to a perceptual match. Please keep in mind there was no reference monitor available for this comparison. Again, I must repeat, this was not a part of the official TV shootout. And the particular footage that we're looking at is what I captured. My camera was positioned in a different location from Stop the FOMO. For those of you that don't know who Stop the FOMO is, I highly recommend you go to his channel and subscribe. Also, go to Brian's Tech Therapy and subscribe to his channel as well. I have them on my featured channels, so you can check them out there. We matched all the TVs as close as we could to make them look similar. Again, this is a perceptual match, so they both were set in a warm color temperature. They weren't calibrated. We don't know which one is more closer to D65. I know many people will say it's a Sony, it has to be closer. Not necessarily in this particular fight. All right, these were very close. Hisense, it geared more towards the warm side. Sony geared more towards the cool side, and you're going to see them trade blows, and there are pros and cons to both. I hope you enjoy the footage. You're going to find a lot of commentary from not only myself, from FOMO, from Brian, and many others that were in the room. I hope that you take a listen and you enjoy everything that is here. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to do so. Please also subscribe and hit the notification bell. Stay tuned. I will have a lot more coming for you in the near future. Until then, as I always say, until we stream again.
They look good, man. They both look good.
So lights are off because it is in their most accurate Dolby Vision mode. The Dolby Vision is 10,000 nits, and
much more. Seems like it's more of a dynamic range on the tone mapping because the blacks were a bit crushed, the highs were a bit higher.
you're talking about the Hisense, right?
The Hisense, yes, but here, like the mids of those trees were.
And of course, this is preference, right? I mean, we don't have a reference, and Dolby Vision doesn't have a reference here anyway. But I mean, you can see just the color out of the box. The Sony's a little bit cooler, and the Hisense is a touch warmer. What are your thoughts on the differences, Iceman?
I mean, they're obviously, without having a spectrometer, reference monitor, we can't fully tell, but just trying to do a perceptual match, they look very close.
I think on the high contrast scenes, the Hisense is more pleasing, but the Sony's more honest.
So I like that. The Hisense is more pleasing, but the Sony's more honest. There
Yeah,
you go.
and between the two in the long run, I'd take the Sony because across multiple scenes, the honesty it's closer.
But the contrast of the Hisense is impactful, but maybe a bit, what do they say, exaggerated, right?
Well, it's putting that little extra sugar in your ketchup at McDonald's.
Now, so which one would you get, Iceman? Now you're seeing the comments and the subtle differences.
I'm somewhat split because every time I look at the Sony, I see the closer to accuracy. You know, it's the Sony signature all day, every day. However, the Hisense, Brian said it looks like a juiced up Samsung, and I have to kind of agree.
This frog right here, does the frog not pop on the Hisense more?
It's almost hyper real.
Yes.
I have to agree. I mean, I almost can say you technically can't really go wrong. It's almost down to, it's really a preference call. It's already so close, and they're not even calibrated.
Yes.
We don't have a monitor to, we just kind of did a very quick perceptual match. And
Okay, so is this amazing that the Hisense out of the box and Sony out of the box are so similar?
yes, even the processing, I'm surprised. Like, you can see some scenes, the Sony has a little bit more detail, but for the most part, it's pretty much spot on. It's definitely worth taking into consideration. Like, I would not skip over the UX if you're looking for an 85-inch.
Well, okay, but they're the same price.
Yes.
We normally associate Hisense, for $2,000 less all day long.
Yes.
At the same price.
The Hisense is more money.
It's actually 40. It's actually
it's
5.
MSRP, but it'll drop down.
MSRP.
Okay. Both of these are in a price point I would consider purchasing.
That's a lot, Brett.
Well, I am a cheap dude. But between the two, the honesty of the Sony is something I could live with much longer without it driving me crazy than that's really nice right now.
So in other words, the Hisense is going to cost a little bit more because you're going to get it calibrated. Might as well get the Sony and avoid the whole calibration.
Sure. Well, either way, I'm going to call Jason
Oh, okay, well then.
and feed him lunch. But nonetheless, I can hang down and be happy with it waiting for Jason to show up.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And in my sense, I'm gonna actually calibrate it myself. So
Either way.
I kind of don't care either way because I'll just fix it.
These scenes, it's really a color shift difference.
Yes.
But the contrast is identical. And it has, so just so you guys know on the specs, the UX has 5,000 dimming zones.
Okay?
The Sony,
They don't tell you.
They don't tell you, but I can tell you it's probably closer to around 1,000 at most, if that.
That is irrelevant. That's like arguing
Exactly.
horsepower on a car.
It's brute force and brute software, right?
Yeah. When I'm looking at both of these, what I see in detail, particularly in the darker scenes, the trees are there. They're just lost in the shadows in the Hisense.
And even the steam in the previous scene.
When we looked at the Samsung, they artificially brought the shadows out, and which looked fake. The Sony does not make it an artificial shadow. It's just there. It's honest.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's
Hisense seems to be pushing the blacks down a little bit and pushing the whites up a little bit in the tone curve, but
Expanding the range to give it that more dynamic range.
Yeah, but
Here's a good scene, right? You have the bright and the dark.
You look at the sunset, you think, that's pleasing. But again, that's a very specific scene that the Hisense just is more pleasing, but not honest.
Now, what does honest mean to you, Iceman? Because I'm hearing this a lot from both of you.
Well, before I answer that question, what I would like to know is what was Hisense's target objective with this particular UX screen? What were they going after?
They were going after premium image quality, whatever that means to them, right? So this is their best right now. They're pricing it. Now, a lot of money went to the audio, by the way, but I don't want to say cost no object, but this is their cost no object for the USA because it's priced accordingly. And so they wanted to see is, will consumers buy the Hisense given this performance against the best right now?
Absolutely, I think they would. Absolutely, I think they would. I think if you walked into a store and saw this exact demo without the history of what we've seen here and what has been shown here, you would absolutely pick the Hisense.
And you guys are critical too, meaning you're very used to reference D65, and you can tell when it's not D65 against a white. And I know, Iceman, you have been studying D65 because you're a self-calibrated enthusiast, right?
It's like the Hisense has torch mode sort of built in a sense.
Right.
Samsung mode. It's Samsung mode.
And you can D65 guy. And so,
and everyone here is, and Brian technically isn't. So we want to hear the voice of the D65 team, basically, and to see that came that close. Now Brian's going to come in and have his torch mode and see if they separate themselves in torch mode when the lights are on.
the flower scene that we just had.
Yeah, the squirrel.
I know those periwinkles, and that color is accurate. That color is oversaturated.
As far as periwinkle.
Now again, if a couple walks into a store, the wife's going to see that one and say, "I want that one."
Absolutely. I think they went towards the Samsung. They chose to go more of a Samsung route versus Sony.
To higher unit sales.
Yes.
And that's fair enough. It's a business, right?
And every choice has to be made regardless.
Yeah.
And
right here, you see that it's slightly yellower, and that one looks like a cool fluorescent, which fluorescent should be cool.
Yes.
okay, now the whites were slightly overblown on that one where they weren't on that one. If you look
You're talking about the Sony X95L, right? A little bit cool.
Look at the windows and the top
Right here
you'll
too.
see
Right here too.
There's a little bit more definition where that one's a tad blown out.
And we're talking the Sony's a tad blown out.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
This is an amazing thing to see these two TVs in person, and I really hope that you all are enjoying this. Again, this is a sight to behold, and please consider the Hisense. It's amazing, 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 and I'm not saying that just to saying it. I cannot stress how impressed I am. The fact that I'm saying this and repeating this should tell you all how good this looks in person.
So this is the thing is, I have to say, all the judges were first.
Yes.
They kept saying, is that a Hisense? Now, obviously, the color, there's a difference.
Yes.
And they're used to white point. But I think it's a lot closer. And in terms of warmth, the Hisense does have a touch of magenta when you see the white, right? Whether it's magenta or warmth. And the Sony is, but then the Sony's a touch cooler.
Yes.
So on the Sony, you're going to adjust the blue. On the Hisense, you're going to adjust and get the magenta out there. But at the end of the day, they both need calibration.
Yes.
But out of the box, let's see what Hisense did. If you're in filmmaker mode or movie mode, they're erring on the side of warmth. In standard mode, okay, it's a little hopped up as well as the Sony. Whereas on the Sony, it's actually erring on the side of cool.
Yes.
And it, it's out of the box, so who knows? Panel variation being what it is. But the contrast and the tone mapping of the Hisense is superior.
Absolutely.
Especially for bright content. But 1000 nit, they look identical.
Yes.
You would choose whatever TV you're loyal to. And if Hisense is selling at this premium, the performance is there.
Even the motion. Look at the motion with the steam.
My thoughts on it is the UX is an unfinished kind of project. It really brute forces everything, which I like.
Yes.
I like some of that. But at the same time, you can see where there's more nuance to the X95. Like it does everything well, and but if you like that Samsung brute force that they used to do,
Yes.
I think that the Hisense. Now you haven't seen either one of these in person before, right? The X95L.
Not until today.
Today, okay. So like the X95L, you've seen the Z9K.
Yes.
The X95L is not as bright. What do you think about that compared to the Z9K?
it's that polished look. The X95L, scene for scene, everything. It's that Sony signature, that consistency, that
More refined almost.
it's refined. Yes, you know, set it. You just turn it on and you're good to go. Whether you adjust something or not, I don't care what you turn up or turn down. You're set in that range.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Where with the Hisense, the settings are a little all over the place. But I will tell you that for the UX in comparison to the U8K or the U7K, it blows them both away. I think that's just what they're going to be doing in the future. So I'm pleased with it.
All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. As always with these things, it's crazy, it's disorganized, but it's all about the fun, right? Love having people like Iceman here, man. Hey,
Yes.
you carried more than half of the Hisense UX stuff, man. We're doing our thing, you're doing our thing. Welcome to the world of live streaming YouTube.
I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, and just let me know I'm here anytime.
We're
Hope you all enjoyed.
Oh, we did.